from the Bob Mills Weather Center, the Oklahoma weather expert, Travis Meyer.
Well, we've added another tornado to Monday's event, and what's interesting is since 1950, January tornadoes, there were 25 until this year. Now there's 29. And so it just doesn't happen very often that we actually have tornadoes in January, but we added big time to that. Now, obviously, the tornadoes that occurred were not the worst. That is the best news. Unfortunately, some folks still lost some roofs, and there's a lot of other outbuilding damage on several of these. The worst one ever to occur was near Gans. That was back in 1957 on January 22nd. Killed 10 people and injured 20. So that was the one that stands out really, really nasty. We still had, though, an extremely active time period. And so the first, or the one that we have had, the most recent one, the National Weather Service has checked out, was Texana. This is Lake Eufaula area. Here's Eufaula. We were talking about that storm coming right across Eufaula area, and we were tracking it. Val was down there. Sequoia was down there. And for you guys, it went right near the Texana area and then continued up near Dutchess Landing. It ended up with winds the strongest. This was the strongest tornado, 85 to 95 mile per hour winds, and the longest track at 8.6 miles. And then just over to the east a little bit further was when we had a tornado basically touching down on Kerr Reservoir, so there wasn't any real damage, so it's unknown how much the damage was on that, but we did have video confirmation of that, and Val saw that as well. And then also up to the north, as we look around the Pryor area, and that was one of the tornadoes that happened fairly early on, 80 to 85 mile per hour winds, 5.3 miles an hour, or 5.3 miles, I should say, and that was just north of Pryor, and that storm looked pretty vicious just west of Pryor as well. And we also had Osage County storm, and that ended up with a tornado. We had the video, and we showed you that earlier, and that was just 5 miles southeast of Scheidler, or just west of Pawhuska ways. No damage was found, so it was called unknown. So what is unknown? I know we don't mention that very often. It's a category that was added when there's just a lack of damage to assess any rating for a tornado. So that's why we use the word unknown, because there just isn't, we know it's there, we've had confirmation, but there just hasn't been anything to show up that it looks like it's done any damage. Well, one thing that's done damage is the drought. Now, just point this out, for 6 months now, we've had a reasonable amount of rain in no real good part until just the last month, but the 6-month totals are mainly for eastern Oklahoma, are running around 20 inches. But you go from Muskogee back to Bristow, massive difference in the amount of water that has fallen. And you can take Highway 75, Highway 69, and those are the dividing lines between kind of getting by or having enough to not having hardly any, because that's like a 6-month time period. And it also reflects on the lakes, believe it or not. The lakes, a lot of the lakes here in eastern Oklahoma, far eastern Oklahoma, are above normal in the green. And then you get in the red, below normal, because there's no water that has come down the watersheds, and so there's been no runoff, and that's made a huge difference. And we don't really have any rain coming up, maybe a few sprinkles or showers for Friday or Friday evening, and that's about it. Right now we're in the 30s to around 40 degrees across the area, very quiet. Tomorrow morning frosty, upper 20s to low 30s, so chilly, but for this time of year, really we're doing okay. And Thursday afternoon again, pretty good. Temperatures in the low to mid 50s. Normal high would be about 47, 48 degree area. And as we look on into Friday, there's those few sprinkles in the green, and temperatures in the upper 50s to low 60s. Cloud cover will probably determine a lot. We might only make it into the 50s where the clouds are thicker. Saturday, we'll have more of a north wind with a cool front moving through, and temperatures in the 50s. And on Sunday, temperatures will be in the low 50s. Is this bad or what for January? I don't think so. Anyway, we are talking about 40 degrees right now, wind chill, a little bit, sitting at 35, and we're looking at generally upper 30s to low 40s across the area, and it's going to be chilly for a while. But also, there's not a whole lot of big storms coming through, and all that is heading out to the west. California, we talked about the storm systems that have been out in that area, and we will continue to look at that because that has been some pretty nasty stuff going on for those guys. Not the most welcome news by any stretch of the imagination. So our forecast looks like this: 31 as we go on into the morning hours, then 49 at noontime. We'll be looking for temperatures to be in the low 60s on Friday, cooler, and then we get a little warmer on Monday, and then we go back to a little cooler and then warmer. What a wide range? No, it looks pretty good. That's your 9-day forecast. Back with sports in a moment.